You ever watch sports and find yourself wishing there was a way for you to get into the game? Well, you can with Underdog. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and you can now play in your state. It's easy. They've got all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. To play, just choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats, like strikeouts, touchdowns, points scored, or more. You can play with as little as $1, and if you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at baseball, thinking Aaron Judge can go higher in hitting some home runs. Download the Underdog app and sign up now using promo code GARAGE to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with the promo code GARAGE. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Craving your next action-packed adventure? Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command, like Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, where a lone astronaut must save humanity from extinction, narrated with stunning intensity by Ray Porter. From electrifying suspense and daring quest to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, unleash your adventurous side with gripping titles that'll keep you guessing. Discover exclusive Audible originals, hotly anticipated new releases, and must-listen bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Because Audible knows there's no greater thrill than the one that speaks to you. Discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. Start your free 30-day trial at audible.com/WonderyUS. That's audible.com/WonderyUS.
Here we go.
This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reavers.
That's right. It's time for the Weekly Scramble podcast. My name is Chris Reavers. With me, as always, his name is Mike Fratelloni. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, Reavers?
I'm splendid. Would you like to know why?
Why are you so splendid?
Because our world-renowned program is now available on YouTube.
That's going to be exciting.
Look at how handsome we are, by the way.
You know, I am looking at it. I look old.
No,
I look
you
like
don't.
I have multiple chins. I weigh 160 pounds, Reavers.
Sick brag, dude.
I know. I look a little bit more Rubenesque in this.
Well, you know,
I think the camera
adds 10 pounds.
and takes away 10 IQ points.
I didn't know that.
Because all I do is keep staring at myself.
Okay, so don't go rookie on me, though. For those of you that watch the Garage Logic podcast, we all, again, I love Rookie like he's my own brother.
Sure.
It's the brother I love the least, but I love him like he's my own brother. But anytime he tries to make a quip or have a good laugh, he always stares into the camera like, did you all get that? I go,
oh, is that okay?
Quit doing that, you ham bone.
I do want to make sure that I stare into the camera because now there is the third wall now. Now, like we're looking at you. We can say hello to the people watching this. So I want to make eye contact with you as much as I can. The problem is Reavers is right there. So I got to do this, right? I got to stare at you, which makes it look like I'm looking off to someplace else. But I like to look at your pretty face.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I appreciate that. All right. So on our last episode, you were all hot and heavy about a given subject, which I love, by the way. I love when Mike Fratelloni gets all sorts of worked up. And you came in with another subject. Well, not necessarily that you're that fired up about it, but you were very interested in it.
You know how the Trump administration is saying this big, beautiful bill that they want to pass, right?
Yep.
And inside this bill is something called Invest America.
I've read something about it, but very peripherally.
What it is every American baby born in the United States will receive $1,000 at birth. There's about 3.7 million babies born each year. Each one of them will get a deposit of $1,000 into their account. And the account will be invested in, the S&P. Right, it's not a savings account. This is an investment account.
All right,
they'll have an app on their phone. Babies won't use the app, but there'll be an app on their phone.
The caregiver will. Yes.
Exactly. And then this is to have grandparents, when they want to give money to the kid for college, they'll put it in that investment account, right? And they'll slowly see that grow. It will be tax advantaged. So if a parent wants to put money in there, they'll have a tax advantaged way of doing it. And the people who put this together, so it's Senator Cruz and a gentleman named Brad Gerstner. He's the founder of Altimeter Capital. It's a leading technology investment company out of Silicon Valley. So he's a multi-billionaire. And they want everybody to experience the financial dream of America and everyone to experience being in the market and owning some of these companies. And Brad says something to the point like, hey, it's one thing to buy Nike shoes. It's another thing to own a little bit of Nike. It's one thing to shop and have a Starbucks. It's another thing to own a little bit of Starbucks, right? And he thinks that by doing this, it will break this 30-something and 20-something, the amount of people that are saying, hey, I believe in socialism, it will break that in years to come because they'll say, I don't really believe in socialism because I see what my capital growth is in my app as I see my $1,000 grow to $2,000 and so on, even if I don't put any more money in there.
Interesting.
And I really, really like this idea. And here's why I am a hypocrite turd. Because when St. Paul came out with the idea of giving $500 to kids for a college fund.
Yep, I remember that.
I thought that was stupid, right? And I'm a hypocrite because this guy is doing it. Granted, the programs are different, right?
And I'm going to help explain why exactly that is, but go ahead.
This Invest America is outside of the federal government, right? These are private citizens. Charles Schwab will own the Invest America account for some people, and Merrill Lynch will do it. It won't be a government account. It won't be Social Security that's mandated by the government, right? This is something a little different. So I'm very excited to see this. But I remember this vividly on GL and you guys talking about this $500, and no one can go to college on $500. It's just a waste of $500. Then I heard these guys talk about it, and it's $1,000, and it's going to be my money giving it to these kids, right? And I was such a hypocrite. I was like, I love that idea because it's going to be in this one great big, one beautiful bill.
Here's why you're not a hypocrite.
Tell me why.
And why I actually happen to agree with both of your points on this particular issue, which doesn't really make for great talk radio, even though we're live on YouTube. No, I'm kidding. So you pointed it out. This is an opportunity for a very, not a small, but for a startup investment to proceed to long-term wealth and growth. Conversely, $500 is going to get a kid textbooks for maybe one semester. Yeah. And again, does that help? Of course it does.
Yes.
But is that going to be the deciding factor between a young child from St. Paul making the decision whether to go to school or not? I highly doubt it.
I highly doubt it. This one definitely seems like it has more cool parameters, right? Invests in the stock market.
And opportunity and growth, for
Real growth.
Sure.
It's, I try to teach my kids the concept of compounding interest, right? And I love my girls, but when I talk to them about compounding interest, they look at me like I might as well be speaking Martian to them, right? They don't.
It's like you're arguing with a head of lettuce.
It's like you're arguing with a head of lettuce. That's a perfect example. And I want them to understand it. And they have this little green light app where they can invest in their app, and I have them pick a couple of stocks, right? Starbucks is one of them. I'm like, hey, like your Starbucks.
Because your girls love the Starbucks,
right?
Yep.
They do love the Starbucks, and them alone would be enough to drive Starbucks prices up because they know how to drink Starbucks. But I really like this idea. And one thing that's kind of cool, so Larry Ellison, right? Texan, multiple billionaire, one of the richest men in the world. And he's contemplating giving every child born, not just potentially in Texas, but maybe every child born in America, $5,000 to help this account. So people that want to help philanthropically, you don't have to give money to a charity, which in turn will be whittled down a little bit before it gets to someone, right? You don't pay your taxes in St. Paul, and then that money going to a kid in St. Paul would get whittled down by the bureaucracy of St. Paul. This is going to be set up so large, really wealthy people could say, I want to help Americans. I want them to experience what democracy does and the free market capitalism can do. And I want them to see what compounding interest is. And I'm going to give $10 to them, or I'm going to give $1,000, or maybe Larry will give $5,000 to every child born in America.
Well, here's also why it's very smart to do something like this, because, I've always argued that, when I was in high school, for instance, great. I took AP physics course, and the only reason I took it, the only reason I took it is I got college credit for it. That's the single reason why I took it. I didn't have to pay for it.
Sure.
In fact, my niece just did this very thing. She took basically her senior year. She took all AP courses so she could basically knock out her first year of college for free.
Oh, that's a good way to do it.
It's very smart. And so, but I thought, looking back, what they should have been teaching are advanced placement banking. Oh, yeah. Advanced placement economics. That's the types of things. And maybe some high schools are doing that. I don't know. But I know in my high school that was not offered because I 100% would have taken that course.
My high school was so good, Roseville Area High School in Rivers, that when I went back in the late 80s, I didn't even know that there was an option of advanced placement out there because I think no one came to little old Mike and said, "Hey, Mike, would you like to try?" Here's how they would have done it. They would have "Mike, would you like to try some?"
No, really. We mean it in all seriousness.
There's got to be one for you. There's a gym advanced placement. You're tiny and you can't really throw a ball, but you want to try it. No one even brought that opportunity to me, and I'm sure it was available in 1989.
Oh, of course it was. Yeah.
Did I just not know? I do remember my girls are getting ready to go to college, and this is a slight digression. I remember at one point in time, my dad said to me, "Are you going to go to college?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, which one?" And I said, "Well, do I have to know that by now?" And he's like, "It starts like in 3 weeks." And I was like, "Oh, crap, I gotta figure this out." And
Wait. 3 weeks before the school year started, you did not even know where you were going to go to college?
Honest to God, Reverse, I was not a great planner. But I got in. And I stayed for a long time. Stick-to-itiveness is what I had.
Nice.
Because I couldn't graduate.
Okay.
Right?
Well, that's fair enough.
But I had to keep going.
But you had a very fun summer, I would imagine, as a freshly graduated high school senior.
That's funny. One of my kids is a senior this year, right, graduating. And I was trying to express to her that the moment graduation happens, a huge percentage of these people you will never see again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You've bonded with them in school, but when you don't have to spend 8 hours a day with them for 180 days a year, you just, you like Jenny, but you're just never going to see her again. You're just never going to see her again. And I said, so don't feel bad. You have your good friends from this school, but be prepared to, the day after graduation, say, okay, now what do we do?
Right.
Because I felt, and maybe you had this feeling too, I felt like there was a major letdown. Like that was not the fun summer.
I remember, I can't believe I'm bringing her up twice, but my niece graduated from high school a year ago, same high school that I went to, Faribault Senior High. And again, I wasn't ripping Faribault earlier by not offering this class. I loved my high school. I thought it was great. But I remember after her ceremony, because ours was outside at the football stadium. Our commencement was outside, but hers was inside at the gym, and they only allotted, I think each kid received 4 tickets, 4 or 5. I can't remember the number, but I was lucky enough to be able to go. And I remember walking through once the ceremony was done, because the high school's the original spot, but they've done a lot of renovations with it. I'm getting to the point here, I promise.
You sure?
But I remember once the ceremony was done, I wanted to kind of walk through the school because it had been a minute since I had been in those hallways, right? In fact, it might have been the last time I was there as a student.
Plus, you wanted to see your number up in the...
Yeah, right, exactly. But I remember walking through the hallways and thinking, I remember exactly where I was the last time I walked out of here. As a senior, and thinking that very thing, like I'm never going to see any of these people again, right? Yep. I mean, I come back for the occasional basketball game and things like that, but
I see them on Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. But I remember having that feeling as a high school senior, going, I am never going to see 90% of these people ever again, like period, ever again.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the AP course. You were talking about them offering it to you.
Yeah, I did. Maybe they did.
Well, but I bet, you know what I bet it was though, because they saw that, well, he's just going to go into the family biz right away. We're not going to waste his time because he's going to learn all that.
Maybe that was it
on his own.
Maybe
School of Hard Knocks.
Already knew I'd be extremely successful.
All right,
or
so
when I went to my counselor and I said, "There's these app classes." And they were like, "Oh my God, you moron! You cannot take an app class here. Good luck to you, sir." I'm 90% sure that's what it was.
Not APP.
Yeah,
AP.
Yeah, I just didn't understand it all.
Well, because I was reading a story a couple of days ago about, you're talking about philanthropic, and again, apparently the guy that used to own the Portland Trailblazers, his family, he passed away, and they are basically they're selling the team, but they donated the arena. They sold basically all the assets attached to this because they wanted to just give back to the city. Because
that's cool.
It's the Microsoft guy, Paul Allen.
Sure,
that was the owner. He passed away a couple years ago, and the family's like, we got more money than we know what to do with. Like, we'll just give the building and all that stuff. It was actually kind of cool. So that very thing about how these guys are now taking it upon themselves to give back to the future generations and things like that. I think that's pretty cool.
To get back to my original question, am I a complete hypocrite that Invest America I really like, and the idea from Mayor Carter about giving a bunch of kids or random kids $500 I hated?
Well, because you're not a hypocrite, because this makes sense. Whereas, and again, it's not that it doesn't make sense for Carter to do that. What difference is it actually going to make for what you're trying to attain, right? Like I said, $500 for a kid to go to college, that's great. It's helpful, but that's buying them books. Sure. For one semester, essentially. That's what that is. And because of the cost of college is just getting so outrageously expensive right now, that's the other reason. There's so many universities that their enrollment is declining by such a degree. Look at the key difference right now between the school I went to, Mankato, Minnesota State, Mankato, and St. Cloud. Patrick Royce and I were just talking about this very thing the other day, and how Mankato's got this thriving. Their sports teams are all fantastic right now. St. Cloud barely has any sports left.
Yeah, it's dying.
And as a result, their programs have suffered. The school has suffered. Enrollment is declining, and Mankato is still doing fairly well in that regard. But it just goes to show you that you've got to really be careful with these decisions. And you've got 3 girls that are going through that process right now.
Yeah, it's a major process. Okay, so I'm glad I'm not a hypocrite.
No, you're not a hypocrite.
I'm glad. Here's a couple other stats from this Invest America.
Yeah.
That if with the starter $1,000 fund, if it grows at 7% and someone invests another $5,000 each year, right? So they're hoping that the parents can invest $5,000 tax free into this fund.
Okay.
That by the time the child's 18 years old, they'll have $177,000 in the bank.
Wow.
Right in their investment account. And I thought, that is really cool, right? That pays for a lot of colleges, a lot of places. A lot of places. The one thing that I didn't like about that is like, Brad Gerstner, are you just going to hand an 18-year-old $180,000? Like, please, God, tell me there's a plan that, you can't take the money out of this. You can take 4% out per year, or you can take half of your interest earned per year. Because if someone would have handed me $170,000 at 18 years old,
I'll see y'all later. I'm moving to San Diego.
I made crappy decisions with $11 in my checking account. I can't fathom. In fact, my dear grandfather, my grandpa Carl, that lived in California, right, gave me. I inherited $10,000 from him.
Wow.
Right, and about one day after I got that, I bought a car. I mean, it was instantly. Got the money, and then I sold the car. It was just like that money went away so instantaneously. And $10,000 in 1989, roughly 1987, I think actually, was a lot of money. And it was a crazy amount of money for a 16, 17-year-old kid to get. And I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to invest in some crap car. And I bought that. I love that car, and I still love cars today.
Right.
And I think if I got another $10,000, you know what I would do?
Buy a car.
Probably buy a car. I just came to the realization, Reavers, that I've learned nothing.
You've learned nothing.
I've learned all I'd want is a better car. So I'd have to get $50,000 or something, and I would do the exact same thing with it. God, I'm a moron.
Oh, that's
I'm
funny.
just a moron.
But
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. You're seeing a moron live on YouTube now.
The story was reminding me. Remember that episode of The Office where Michael Scott went to go speak at this I believe it was an inner city school, to this kindergarten class, and basically promised them, if you all graduate, I don't know if it was a certain grade point average, but if you all make it to graduation, I will pay for each and every one of your college.
That was funny.
And it dawned on him that, hey, dummy, all these kids are about to graduate high school. He's like, oh, God. And he ended up buying them like laptop batteries instead. Like,
I remember that. He didn't even buy them. He's like, here's a laptop battery for a laptop they don't even have. People were disappointed, to say the least.
That was a very funny episode. Did you see, by the way, another quick aside, because that's what we are. We're the left turn radio or podcast. But they're going to do a reboot of that show, of The Office.
Yeah, you know what? We'll go for it. Why not?
But it basically features 2 people from the show.
Which ones?
It's I believe it's Oscar, who's a great character.
Great character.
But I don't know.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Leave it alone, because I loved The Office. That was one of my favorite shows.
Trivia question for you.
Talk to me.
Okay. So in The Office, you notice that some members that worked there at Dunder Mifflin had to be in the annex, right? Like Toby and Mindy Kaling's character were in the annex, right? And Ryan was in the annex. Like
partially. Sometimes, yeah.
Do you know why those characters had to be in a different room?
Gosh, I don't know why.
It's really kind of fascinating. Those guys are the writers of The Office, and they had to write as they were filming, so they couldn't be in the scenes. They couldn't be in the main office area, because otherwise they'd have to be sitting in the scene, not being able to write. So they made the annex for them so they could be offset, and then the people that were on set, because everyone said it was very, very difficult. Many people, Rainn Wilson said many times when you're on a movie, you don't even see the other characters. Like if you're not in scenes with them, you might never ever see people that are other stars of the movie. You might never see them unless you have joint scenes together. He said, but The Office, you were all in the same room. The collective 6 people were always in the office at the same time. You might not even have a line in the show, and you're sitting there all day.
Yeah.
And he said that was kind of tiring and taxing. I said, world's smallest violin, right? It can't be that bad. But I thought that was really interesting that the writers were in the annex so they could be free to write.
I did not know that both she and I knew Ryan character. I knew he was a writer for the show. I did not know that the other two were as well.
I didn't know Toby was. I just thought Toby was worthless HR.
I just do love the fact, I can't believe we're breaking down The Office, but what the hell not? That's the beauty of the show. But I do love the fact that the main purpose of him was that Michael hated his guts. I thought that was the funniest.
Oh yeah, just no matter what, hated him.
It was just and it was such brilliant writing. Well,
they did.
So he probably wrote that in like, no, I want his character to hate me.
Oh, that's
You know what I mean?
True,
like that's pretty
right?
funny. That's pretty funny.
Some people can be terribly creative.
Yeah,
right. And I love that.
Well, hey, as long as we're talking about the world of entertainment, I don't know if you saw this.
Oh, what is it?
But there was very sad news. One of the biggest Hollywood stars passed away today at the age of 80.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious.
Who did I miss?
Well, you've seen great movies such as Happy Gilmour.
I have.
You've probably, in fact, let me get up his IMDb page.
It's not the big tall guy.
No, but you've seen Happy Gilmour. You love golf.
Yeah.
Think of all the favorite characters.
It's not Bob Barker.
No,
he's long dead, right?
Nope. But keep guessing. Who do you think? Who do you think maybe?
It's not Shooter McGavin.
Nope, it's definitely not him.
He's not 80. And how old was he?
80 years old.
80 years
passed
old.
away. It made it all the way to 80 years old.
I'm trying to think of who that could possibly be. Oh, is it the guy with the wood hand?
Nope. He was 11 feet tall. He was 640 pounds, Michael. That's right. Morris, the alligator of Happy Gilmour fame, passed away at the age of 80. This is such a great story. Because I had no idea until this morning that this was even a thing. But Morris, the alligator, who appeared in numerous films and television shows, most notably in the movie Happy Gilmour, passed away in Mosca, Colorado, at the age of 80 years old. The cause was old age, according. No kidding. His exact age was unknown, but he was 9 feet long in 1975, and by his growth rate and tooth loss, we can estimate his age at over 80 years old. The farm said. I'm trying to find his IMDb.
So what's weird
page.
about that? If they don't know his exact birth date and his exact age, you think in the America that we live in now, we would have deported him someplace. If he doesn't have papers, send him out of here. That's what we're getting to. So,
of course, for everyone that's seen the movie, he's the one where he Happy hits the ball and it goes into his mouth, and he's like, "This is the guy that took Chubbs, that ate Chubbs' hand," and so he beats the crap out of the alligator in the water. It's a very funny scene.
It is a very funny story. One more totally tangential story, since we're talking about people hitting certain ages.
Let me give his Wikipedia very, very quickly.
Do we need to know the alligator's Wikipedia?
Here's why.
Okay.
He was in Interview with a Vampire in 1994, Blues Brothers 2000 in 1998, and Dr. Dolittle 2 in 2001.
He was a talking alligator.
I wonder, do you think he got royalties for that?
I don't know. I probably.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
You're dragging an 11-foot alligator around. That's your job. Like, what do you do? I have an alligator that
Adam
stars in
Sandler
movies.
posted a very cool tribute to him.
Paid homage
on his Instagram account. It was either.
You know what you
Instagram
should do is you should make a pair of shoes out of them.
You can't do that.
Why not?
You
Let
want
them
80-year-old
live on.
leather shoes?
I mean, that's good as anything. So,
sorry, you were going to say something.
Do you know how old Homer Simpson is? Have you heard this?
Okay, hold on. Let me try to do the math. So The Simpsons started.
His birthday was May 10th.
Okay. So let me take a stab at this. The Simpsons started, well, as a show in 1989, but they were on the Tracy Ullman show before that. And I forget how long of a run that was. And he was probably in his 30s when that show started. So I'm going to guess, what is that math? That's
You're doing pretty good.
36 years. I'm going to guess he turned 68 years old.
69. What an incredible guess on your part.
Holy cow.
He was born May 10th, 69 years ago. I didn't do the math.
Wow.
Right? But someone in one of the episodes, they show his driver's license. It shows May 10th.
Oh,
and
get out of here.
So it's his exact birth date. How interesting is that show's been on for 35 plus years, right? Started in 89
Longest
plus
running
Tracy,
show.
TV
TV
plus
history.
Tracy Ullman. The baby still doesn't talk, but Homer Simpson would be 69. He looks great.
Yeah, he does.
Right, it looks great. That's what fat people, they don't show a lot of wrinkles, right? All the fat guys that we have
That's
watching
my
the show,
plan.
y'all look good, right?
Right.
Y'all look good. You just cover it up.
Oh, that's funny. Because
Again, 160 look fat on the video.
we have started to do the Simpsons clips, because my boys are obsessed with Ralph Wiggum.
Sure.
Because why wouldn't you be? Because he's hilarious. And so we've kind of got into the Simpsons, and I explained to them that, well, the reason I said the show's been on, you guys, since I was your age. I was my oldest son's age when the show debuted.
Sure.
And I remember going, well, the reason how come the voices don't change? They had my oldest son said, well, did they hire different? I go, no. The beauty of how they kept Bart's age the same is he's voiced by a female voice actor.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, I didn't know that. That's why, that went down the rabbit hole of showing scenes like that. Anyway, it's very funny. So,
Do you remember back in 1989 with The Simpsons, your mother might not have allowed you to watch it?
she was very much, because I was the oldest of four.
Sure.
She did not want the kids to watch the show.
And doesn't it seem like that is the most benign
Oh, my
thing
God.
on television right
Compared to
now?
what's on right
but in
now.
1989, my parents, and I was old enough to be able to watch it, but little kids, we'd say, it's not appropriate for you.
To the point where we were watching. Last night, my oldest wasn't feeling well, but I allowed my youngest to stay up to watch the Timberwolves game, right? And okay, it's on TNT, so sometimes there's going to be an ad that kind of gets a little bit risque or whatever. But some of the ads that they show, and again, I know it's later at night as well, but we're watching a basketball game.
Yep.
For crying out
You
loud.
need kids to watch basketball too, so they're into it.
But
right?
it's just, you just say, okay, I got to change the channel for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like some graphic movie that's being shown. I don't want my 10-year-old watching that. Oh, and by the way, right before he's about to go to bed, like, come on here. What are we doing?
Well, don't hand him a cell phone because he'll see it all.
I'm fighting that tooth and nail. His name is Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. This is the Weekly Scramble podcast, and we will be right back. I'd like to know which one you're going to pick.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you saw this, but yesterday was NFL schedule release day.
Yeah, you told me you were very excited about that.
To the point where, we have to break it down. The boys were like, okay, we're going to go to this game, and then maybe we'll go to that game. And then, anyway. So I saw this morning, and I had a quite loud chuckle. An LOL, as the kids like to say these days. So apparently, the Minnesota Vikings are offering their biggest fans a very cool and unique opportunity.
What are you
I
gonna
don't know
get?
if you saw this, but today, Mike, until they're gone, this kicked off at noon today. You can get a free Vikings tattoo.
Okay.
While supplies last.
Really?
Yes. So it's a flash event. Free tats. Get them while they last. Skol.
And this is a true permanent tattoo,
This
not
is
a
from-
sticker.
I believe that this is real ink because they were advertising this on the Vikings. And it's not fake. This is the Vikings' actual Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
And it's ink because on the video associated with it that's showing the tattoo artist. There's one of Abigail getting one in a. Anyway,
Really?
and
Getting them on the front area?
Yes, they based it upon the upcoming opponents. So these were the designs of, okay, the Vikings are playing the Cowboys in Week 10, and you can get that tattoo to symbolize that game.
Sure.
And I'm thinking, okay, let's slow down here a minute. Take a time out. I'm a huge football fan. I have loved the Vikings since I was 6 years old. Okay? I've watched every single game since I can remember. Okay? They have broke my heart for 47 straight years, whatever it's been. There is not a chance in hell I am going to get a tattoo about one specific home or away game in the 2025 calendar season.
I would 100% do it.
No,
And
you
I know
you
exactly
would not.
I know exactly what I'd get. Do you want to hear what I'd get?
Of course.
I'm going to show people on this. Right here, little tramp stamp area.
The tramp stamp?
Right there. I would get a field goal. And then I'd have Gary Anderson way down lower on my butt with his foot square into my butt, right?
Yeah.
And then have a little ball and the words wide left above my tramp stamp. So it would look like Gary Anderson is just square kicking me right in the butt.
Yeah.
That would be pretty good.
That's pretty
right?
creative. I don't know if the Vikings Flash event today had that as an option.
That would have been cool.
But, who knows?
Yeah, and then it would be the wide left Gary Anderson tramp stamp.
It'd be
I don't know. That's
it'd be
not
pretty
bad.
symbolic.
That would
but
be pretty good.
I think you did have to pick from what the artists were. Oh my God, they're showing the Vikings versus Atlanta.
Really?
So they're basically the tattoos that they were offering were from opponents based upon this.
They didn't have Randy Moss straight cash homie.
No, they did not.
They didn't. Okay, what were they?
It was basically so they'd have a Viking and like strangling an eagle.
Oh,
Get it?
okay.
So like things like that.
Okay. So
But
it wasn't actual plays.
You know what though? Now that tattoo artist is obviously listening to this show because everyone does, I guarantee that that's something that they're going to offer.
Yeah.
Hey, give me the Gary Anderson, will you?
Or on my daughters, I could get Randall McDaniel's face like right on their lower bellies, and he could be looking at him like he has that makeup on his face, just looking all tough.
John Randall,
not Randall McDaniel. John Randall, and that would be cool because people would be like, "What the hell? I'm
What is
staying
this
away
all
from
about?
this girl."
Yeah, she's gonna,
Smart though. See, I'm an ideas guy.
You really are.
I really am.
You really
not a
are.
good idea, but I'm an ideas guy.
The other thing I saw, and I don't know if anybody else caught this, but I thought it was kind of funny and somewhat symbolic of our lives here in 2025. So I only saw this because I'm a nerd, and I'm always obsessed with, because as Joe's ranting and raving about taxes in the state of Minnesota, I am 100% not watching stuff on social media or the Twins game while it's going on, like I was today. But the Eagle Cam. Okay, everyone, the DNR Eagle Cam, right? Everyone's familiar with that.
Sure.
I love the Eagle Cam.
Really?
I just think it's so cool.
Okay.
The fact that you get to watch some majestic creature in its natural habitat, I think it's just cool.
I only have one reason to watch that, but go ahead, finish.
Go ahead. Well, I was going to say, I don't know if you know this,
Yeah.
but the Eagles were kicked out and new residents took its place.
Oh, really? What kind of bird?
A mama duck actually took over where the DNR had the Eagle Cam set up because obviously the Eagles were gone.
Sure.
And she gave, she hatched ducklings, and they just kind of said, well, this apartment's vacant. We're going to take this thing over.
But isn't that kind of high?
You know what? They never give the location.
Because I assume an eagle's nest will be high.
I would assume
like
too,
Hitler's.
yes,
It was
yeah.
high
Yeah.
in the mountain. Not saying they're like Hitler, but like Hitler, they're high in the
comparison,
mountain.
but okay.
But so these ducklings are just going to step out of this eagle's nest and fall to their death because they don't go right from birth to flying.
No, that's true.
They got a long time.
That's
so these
true.
So we got to save these things.
Kind of go looking like, Ma, we got to go all the way down there.
And the only reason I would be interested in the eagle's nest, the only reason, is because I'd want to make an argument that eagles are now ubiquitous. They're all over the place.
Right.
So they should come off the endangered species list and get served at some fancy restaurants. Because wouldn't that be kind of cool to eat an eagle?
Well, I'm sure once it became available, I'm going to
Right?
guess.
I mean, I'm sure
probably.
other countries, they don't say, oh, no, America's majestic bird is uneatable. They eat them other places.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be curious? That 11-foot alligator that died, I'd taste it. An eagle that maybe got hit on the road, but fresh.
Yeah.
I'd taste it.
Yeah.
God bless America.
I guess. Yeah.
I'm kind of worried about the ducks falling to their deaths.
You really are. Well, the one of the biggest controversies that I ever created in the history of Garage Lot in my time working with Joe and Rookie was, and this was early in my run. This is probably 15 years ago.
Okay.
Maybe closer to between 10 and 15 years ago. And I think it was the Eagle Cam that came up. And I remember it was shortly after we were up north at one of my buddies' cabins. And basically, there was an eagle's nest. I think this was in northern Wisconsin. And there was a giant eagle's nest near where my buddy's cabin was.
Sure.
And the local Wisconsin, whatever they're called, came and they had to take it down because it was very, very close to power lines. And so what they didn't want to happen was either the bird get hurt or, they were trying to be safe. So they had to take it down. And inside of this giant eagle's nest were all of these dog collars.
Really?
And I told that.
Is that true?
I told the story on the air. I didn't see it personally.
Okay.
But that's what was told to me. So, of course, me being a dummy, I just went with it on the air.
Sure.
And people were furious that I told that story on the air. And I thought,
really, why?
Well, I'm not making it up. This is what I was told. But they don't eat dogs and they don't eat. And I just thought, well, this is what I was told. Like,
why wouldn't they eat a dog?
Well, that's what I said.
Just like, why wouldn't I eat an eagle? Why wouldn't they eat a dog? It's called the food chain, right?
It's the circle of life.
It's the hierarchy. And then I thought these power lines, if I was really lucky, the bird could come, fly into the power lines, get cooked, fall right into my hands.
But you got to keep in mind, too. So this is peak GL afternoon drive on the radio in the summer. And Mike, I'm not kidding. We took calls for 2 straight hours on this.
That is
people that were arguing with what I said, and also people that are arguing with each other. And it was, Reavers is full of crap. No, Reavers is actually right. No, it was like Joe goes, I can't believe what just happened. Like, I didn't even anticipate this coming up.
I missed that. I missed that part. I missed that part of GL.
I don't.
I know you don't. It's really funny. Behind the scenes, folks, I'm going to speak to the folks that are watching right now and the folks that are listening. Behind the scenes, no one on GL wants to take calls because it's super hard, right? You can't do it from where you're sitting. It's not live, although now that YouTube's live, GL is live on YouTube, you could take calls. And the argument is that 1 in 50 calls is a great call.
Is a home run.
Run.
Yep.
But those home runs are on best ofs.
Oh, I get
from
it.
here into eternity. Some of the best
it.
memories I have of GL are people calling, or just people calling and saying time and temp, ask for time and temp. That alone is a great bit.
Right. Well, and the other part of it too is just that, like, even the ones that make it through the very dubious screening process by the associate producer. But I guess my point is, like, even the ones that you get, people don't even listen to the bad calls that didn't get on the air.
So what percentage of call-ins would make 50%?
No, it was more. It was more than that. Because there's a certain point where you get to know the various people that call in a lot, because it's like okay, that person's going to make a good point. Just hang tight, I'll put you through. Blah 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 blah. But then there's ones that basically just want to call and start swearing at you, and it's like, well, no, click. I'm not listening to that. I don't have time to do that right now.
But now we could do it on our podcast. We don't care. Swear at us.
That's true.
I've been sworn at by better men than I've been sworn at by some women even.
Scott wanted us to know, because we brought up Bill Belichick and why he took the job at North Carolina. So thank you, Scott. Apparently his son is on the staff.
Okay.
And he's going to basically work there for a year and then leave. I didn't even think of that.
Why is he going to work there for a year and then leave?
And let his son take over. Because his son was never going to get hired as a head coach.
Why do you say that? Why would they say your dad came here with his 24-pound or 24-year-old nitwit chick, and then say, oh, he did such a great job, we're going to give it to him?
Do you know that she got 3rd place in Miss Maine?
3rd place in Miss Maine.
3rd place.
She's not great looking. I'm just going to say it. If you are that guy who wants a 24-year-old hottie, there's better ones than that.
Well, that's, I guess, what my point, because I'm a big, I weigh both looks and personality.
Sure.
And because I know just how BS crazy she is, well, that makes her less attractive, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I load just looks. That's it. I don't care about anything else. It's just, is she pretty? And sometimes she looks way older than 24. I was like, oh, maybe they're even. Maybe Belichick and her are kind of even.
Sure.
She's 24-year-old pretty, and he's 71 rich and powerful.
That's true.
And a crappy dresser. God, is he crappy dresser.
Especially when he's on that one interview on CBS and he has got the holes in his shirt.
Just
I thought,
dirty looking.
Like, you're supposed to be representing your school and you're dressed in a torn up
Do you think
Navy
he
t-shirt?
says, they want to see my persona and I need to wear this shirt? Do you think he plans that?
Probably.
Yeah. Do you think someone cut that shirt for him?
No, I believe that's probably a shirt he's had since the 60s.
Yeah.
That would 100% be my guess.
That would make me feel a lot better. That's one of the coolest things I've ever heard about a shirt being worn for a long time.
What's that?
Right? So do you know who Ralph Lipschitz is?
No.
It's Ralph Lauren, the guy who owns Polo.
Oh, okay. Gotcha,
right? His
gotcha.
real name is Ralph Lifshitz. I think it's so funny. I think it's so funny that he said, that might not be as good as Ralph Lauren, and I think he's right.
You know what? I think he made a good career decision.
But he has this beautiful shirt, right? And he wears it all the time, and it's worn out. And this interviewer was saying to him, like, this is a stunning shirt. Where did you get this? And he said, oh, this is a shirt from Sears. And she said, well, no, like, where's the shirt? So you took the shirt from Sears and you designed it? He's like, no, this is a shirt I bought from Sears, and I've worn it for like 40 years. And he wears the shirt the whole time. And I thought, that is kind of cool. He had a shirt. He goes, the fit is perfect. The fabric was perfect. And I've seen iterations of that shirt in Polo stuff or Ralph Lauren stuff over the last 40 years, right? But how funny is it that a guy who could have anything says, no, it's my shirt that I got from Sears, and I love it, and I'm not getting rid of it, and it's worn out now, and it looks real cool, and I'm an incredibly wealthy fashion designer. So Bill Belichick can't pull that off.
No.
Ralph Lifshitz can.
So I'm very comparable then to Ralph. You know, I've said I wear baseball stuff that I acquire as a coach and free radio station shirts and quarter zips that clients give to me. That's what I rock.
Like in some PR company says, let's give away T-shirts, and guys like me say, no one wears a freebie T-shirt. Let's not do it. And then they say, well, let's open to page 7. Here's Chris Reavers.
Right, here's Reavers.
He's
Hi,
worn that free shirt 8,000 times.
In fact, I was just talking to our buddy at Harmony Spirits, our buddy Larry, the other day about that. I go,
great quarter zips.
I said, here's why your clothing brand works, because you make a nice, clean, comfortable quarter zip. Of course I'm going to wear it.
Yeah.
That's you guys know me. That's exactly what I wear all the time.
I 100%. I have to get you some Fratelloni's gear. I 100% have to.
I would absolutely wear that. You know I would. Anyway.
Yeah, I will. Trust me, I'll get it for you.
Okay.
Reavers, this is so cool that we're on YouTube.
Yes.
I'm so proud of us. I'm looking at YouTube. Welcome, YouTubers. Thank you, Weekly Scramblers. And Reavers, you can see him now. Not only is he the best, but he's incredibly handsome. And you can always see him. But, okay, love you, buddy.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate you and I love you too. All right. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Weekly Scramble podcast. And please do us a favor and rate and review the show wherever you happen to be listening. It helps other people find the show, and it does help us out a tremendous amount as well, and we really do appreciate it. His name is Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. Again, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Weekly Scramble podcast. We will talk to you again next time. Until then, cheers. Time once again to check in with our guy, Mr. Money Talk. Josh Arnold is with us once again here in Garage Logic, and now is the time for you to do the same. So do not delay. Do exactly what I did and pick up that phone and dial 952-925-5608. That number once again is 952-925-5608. When you call that number, you're going to get Josh, and he is there for you for that free, yes, I use the word free, 48-minute financial consultation with absolutely zero obligation, and he will always give you the straight talk. He will never give you the sugar-coated advice, and he is on the line with us once again right here in Garage Logic. And boy, Josh, 2 really big days, and we're kind of going to get a breather today, aren't we?
Today we get a little bit of a breather. We'll say waiting for some more economic news. The Fed is probably not as much in play anymore, and there are a few strategists who are of the belief that I have that the Fed will talk a lot but not do much of anything regarding cutting interest rates. My view is, given the, we'll say, current strength of the economy, given where unemployment is, well, inflation numbers through the consumer price index have come down. Overall, inflation numbers are still above the Fed's 2% target level. I do think the Fed, as of their meetings come out, will show that they are ready, if necessary, to move down at least 1/4 of a point, but they remain data dependent and very patient currently, waiting to see the impact of Trump's trade policy. Right now, the big moves on Monday and on Tuesday, Monday with some positive news on the U.S.-China front, reducing tariffs to 30% on Chinese imports into the U.S. and 10% on U.S. imports into China. It serves as a major impetus for a move up in the market, primarily from we'll say, short covering. The market moves up. Institutional investors who bet on the market continuing to drop, therefore shorting stocks and or the broad indices, as that reversed and started to move up, they were forced to cover, and that gave a big move overall. On Tuesday, some significant moves in Saudi Arabia, with the Saudis pledging to invest $600 billion into the United States. That's in the form of aircraft. Gave Boeing a nice boost. It's in the form of data centers. It's in the form of chip sales, which have given NVIDIA and Advanced Micro Devices, AMD, a boost. AMD got an additional boost today, where their board of directors said, we have so much confidence in our company and our stock is undervalued right now. We're authorizing a $6 billion share buyback. That's a huge plus for the company, though they do trail NVIDIA, significantly in the lead for GPU chips. So those are the two big things that have pumped the market this week: the U.S.-China and the Saudis' investment. There's also some major relief that the tariffs have been pushed off, and now the focus returns, at least in Washington, to passage of a tax bill, which could provide another underlying boost to the economy. And that's something that I'm very much in favor of. And you know that I'm not in favor of tariffs. I do continue to suggest, even with this move up, to maintain the asset allocation mix that I've talked about for decades, of keeping up to 30% in cash, both for safety and for opportunity, and the balance invested in companies in growing industries. My focus has been on companies involved in the internet, leisure-related businesses, China-related businesses, and real assets, which would include real estate. It's going to be an interesting time. And maybe the market right now, Chris, is like the Twins.
Excellent.
Down in April and up in May.
Excellent advice, Mr. Money Talk. You heard him, GLers. Now is the time for you to pick up the phone and make the call for that free 48-minute financial consultation by dialing 952-925-5608, where you always get straight talk and never, ever sugar-coated advice. Josh, once again, thank you so much for the time and the chat. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
You got it.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.